name's Maura Pringle. I currently work at Queen's. I'm a cartographer. I draw maps and diagrams, and I look after the map library. I did a degree in geography, with also some archaeology and some geology, and I took an interest in political geography and regional geography, specifically in things like nationalism and identity, national identity. After I graduated, I did a postgraduate diploma course in cartography, and then I took the head staggers a while ago, and having done a little bit of sort of work with cross-community groups, I did an MPhil with Trinity in reconciliation studies. So I have an interest in not so much maps just as maps per se, but in how they reveal how we perceive the environment that we live in and inhabit, and how they have changed over time, how our perception of things has changed over time, our reaction to things. And I'm really hoping to give the folk here not so much equip them as to how to draw a map or that kind of thing, but more show them different ways of envisioning the landscape, and specifically the border landscape, the landscape that has a boundary running through it, how that actually appears, whether or not it is actually shown as a boundary on the land at all, because quite often boundary lines are on maps, they're not necessarily shown in the landscape. And how would it look from one side to the other? You know, particularly to envision a border or a boundary as a line that is a line of partition, but also of meeting. Somewhere that segregates people, but also allows contact to be made. So that it's a question of whether you see it perhaps as a barrier, as an interface, or indeed as a marketplace, as a point where people can meet and exchange. And I think that something like this project, is valuable because it is a way of both meeting and exchanging of ideas and seeing things from different perspectives. I think so often we assume that our own view is the legitimate view of things. Not necessarily that other people are wrong, but we just assume that our view is how it is seen. I suggested, for example, that if somebody was looking at the border, that if you walked along the border on one side, if the border was a river, if you walk along one side, your view will be quite different to if you turn and walk back on the other side of the river. And it's a bit like that with how we approach maps, and how we approach this idea of division. And that's something that I want, if you like, to just equip or enable people to see it see the landscape in different ways.